Hello! For this video today, I have one mission, and that's to find out what all these cities in Skyrim actually do. I'm looking for the income of each city to keep those Jarls rich, and maybe to pay the guards too if there's any extra money, I guess. To find this out, I'm going to see if there's any public areas that need any fixing. This, along with the businesses of every city, will tell me how prosperous each one is. I'm just going to be sticking with all the major cities for this video, so all of you huge Iverstead fans can get the hell out of here, alright? Okay, but for real, I'm going to be sticking with the major places on the map, like the big shield logo things. Solitude is the capital of Skyrim and has some of the most impressive towers and architecture of anywhere here. When I walked in for the first time, I was a little confused why everyone was just gathered by the front gate until I realized... Okay, anyway, I checked some of the first buildings you see as you enter the city, and the first one was called the Winking Skeever. At first glance, this place looks like a tavern, so I went to the guy behind the bar and... yeah, that's a tavern, but also kind of an inn. Businesses like this would pay taxes to the city, so keep that in mind for the rest of the video. Right outside of here is a little market, and it's filled with a bunch of even smaller businesses. I went to some nearby buildings, and after checking out Angeline's Aromatics, Bits and Pieces, and Radiant Raiment, it was more of the same small business type of places. The owner of Bits and Pieces, Sama, said something pretty interesting though.
Baron's my husband. He works the forge up at Castle Dower. I barely see him nowadays, what with him filling orders for the army.
Army, huh? So I decided to go see what the deal was. This Bernard guy seems pretty busy, and it made me curious about the military part of Solitude. On my way over to the military side, I stopped in and saw this Fletcher selling arrows and bows, so that's another small business that the city has. Back in this military section of the city, there's a whole training area for the soldiers. There was also a war meeting about the rebellion with the general of the Imperial Army, which was pretty crazy that I could just walk in and see this, but that was here too. So far, it seems like Solitude is just a military city, with a bunch of people participating in the military or being related to someone that helps with the military. That's what I thought anyway, until I went down the street and then boom, the Bard's College. So I decided to see what this Bard's College was all about. There's a decent amount of students here, so that's a lot of people traveling to the city, which is pretty good for all the businesses here. But I don't think colleges pay taxes. I don't really know, but we're just gonna say they don't for this video, so that doesn't directly go to the Jarl's pocket. The Bard's College does seem very successful though.
You should be aware that many apply, but we accept very few people.
With this in mind, there must be a crazy pipeline in the city from failed bard to military soldier. Down the road, there's the Blue Palace, and I don't need to go into crazy detail, it's just where the Jarl lives. For the area around the Bard's College, there's not much to say because there's just a bunch of houses and a graveyard. There is one singular house for sale, but you have to buy it from the city. So does that mean that the city makes money from all the houses that are bought around here? Who knows? I'm gonna say yes. Making my way outside the city, I found a bunch of docks and a warehouse, home to the East Empire Company. The East Empire Company is a huge merchant company which would bring in money for the city. There's also a huge ship here called the Red Wave, and going in here, all I really found out was...
You're not supposed to be in here.
You're not supposed to be in here.
You're not supposed to be in here.
But this huge warehouse area out here is just one of the pillars that makes Solitude just an incredible city. The last thing I had to check is the prison, so... Once I was put into my cell, I unlocked the door, but after that, I was pretty unsuccessful. Anyway, Solitude is a super well-rounded town. Its roads are very well maintained, and the amount of business being done here is extraordinary. The military is able to have a major base here, and Solitude is home to a very well-respected college. Everything you'd want out of a successful city could be found here in Solitude. Right when you walk into Winterhold, you can tell it's not in the best shape. Literally the first thing you see is a broken down house. The road is completely broken and covered in snow, and there's just random stuff in the street. I walked to the only inn in town, the Frozen Hearth.
If you've business with the college, you're welcome to stay here. It's where most of our business comes from, in fact.
So it seems like the entire city is running off the college, but at this level, I can't get in, so... It doesn't really matter. All we really need to know is that the college brings people into the town, and that's how all of the businesses here stay operational. And I say places, but it's barely plural. There's only one other business here called Berna's Oddments. It's just a general store where you can pretty much buy or sell anything. The prison here, though, is a lot different than anywhere else in Skyrim. Winterhold is small and doesn't have enough space for a traditional prison, so they have this thing called the Chill. It's up in this ice cave super far north, and a bunch of frost atronachs guard you. The only problem with this, though, is that it's really easy to escape. They didn't take any of my stuff, so I had all my lockpicks and I could just run by everything. When I got outside, they started attacking this worker, so I was pretty much free to go wherever I wanted. So apparently Winterhold used to be this huge city, and then a disaster happened that may or may not involve the college, destroyed everything. Since then, the city has just been scraping by, and all of the citizens hate the college.
Stay clear of that college, if you know what's good for you.
It's not confirmed if the college caused this disaster, so I don't really understand all the hate for the college, especially because the college brings in any sort of business to the city and makes it so it can actually survive. And without the college, it would certainly fail. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next couple of years, the only two buildings left in this town are the inn and the college. In all the time I've spent playing this game, I haven't really done much in Morthal. And to be honest, this is the second city in a row that isn't doing too great. The road is just dirt really, and there's a destroyed home in town again. It's no Winterhold though, it's not that bad. There's a nice bridge dock thing that goes to all the places around town, which is pretty cool. And trying out the prison was great. I broke my lockpick trying to get out, so I guess that means maximum security prison here. Literally a Nordic Alcatraz. In all seriousness though, the prison was nice and it was a pleasant stay. The innkeepers of Skyrim usually know a lot about what's happening in their cities, and this one did not disappoint.
Now, well, let's just say the front door doesn't get much use.
The other buildings in Morthal that aren't houses are just the Jarl's Hall, which is basically just a house, the guardhouse, and this thing. It's basically just another small business. The only difference here is I really don't like the woman that runs it. She just creeps me out.
Don't get many customers, but that leaves me time to try things out. Experiment, I guess.
The last place in town is the lumber mill, and I'm not really sure if they export anything, but there is direct water and land access to Solitude, so that's a solid maybe on that, I guess. Morthal is crazy broke, like it's bad, and to be honest, I really don't know how it's gonna get any better with this place. Riften may look pretty gloomy all the time, but this is one of the most fun places to be in Skyrim. It's also filled with like extremely shady characters. Like literally the first thing that happens to you when you get to the city is a guard tries to steal money from you by making up some tax. If you talk to anyone in the city for the first time, they mention one of two things: the Thieves Guild or the Blackbriars. The Thieves Guild has crazy influence here. They steal, they lie, and they siphon a ton of money out of the city into their pockets.
Not well, I'm afraid. That Brynjolf, he keeps draining the people's pockets with his ridiculous miracle cures.
This makes business worse for a lot of people here because the schemes the members of the guild pull off just hurt the good people of Riften. The Blackbriars are a family that own a very popular meadery. And the head of this family, Maven, is probably the most powerful person in Riften. She's also just the sweetest.
Of course. Nothing gets done without my approval in this city. I have the Jarl's ear and the guards in my pocket. Anyone makes trouble for me and I pay a visit to the Thieves Guild. Make me angry and I contact the Dark Brotherhood. You do well to remember that the next time you make such a stupid observation.
Now the city itself is kind of a mixed bag. The upper part of the city is great, with well-maintained bridges and nice roads pretty much everywhere. But as you go lower, the city gets worse. On the second level, there's way less cooler bridges. There's also a place where all the homeless live, which is pretty sad, and the Radaway. At level 1 though, I basically own the place. Now there's a lot of small business here. There's the Scorched Hammer, an inn called the Bee and Barb, the Riften Stables, Helga's Bunkhouse, Elgrim's Elixirs, and the whole outdoor market with vendors. I don't think Honor Hall Orphanage counts though, because this crazy woman hates children and won't let anyone adopt them. So you can't really count it as a business because they don't do business. I went into the Blackbriars meadery and found out how successful it is real quick.
Maven Blackbriar wants me to keep the mead flowing, and that's what I aim to do despite all these lazy good-for-nothings that work for us. Ever since I took over as a foreman, the production of our mead has never been more profitable. And if the meadery is profitable, I'll get rich. Get the picture?
This mead can be found everywhere in Skyrim, and this is what makes Maven so rich and powerful. This mead brings people to Riften despite all the issues with the city, and is what separates Riften from a place like Morthal. After going to the meadery, the next big business I heard about was the fishery ran by Boli. I can't really tell for sure if they export this to the rest of Skyrim or if it's just a Riften thing, but I'd just assume it's for all of Skyrim because not every city has a big body of water like this. There's a whole warehouse on the docks that I assume is for the fishery, and there's a decent amount of employees. The last thing I had to check again was the city's prison. Well, there's that. This city has so much potential. There's a bunch of businesses and a lot of people living here. There's a decent structure to the city and multiple big businesses bringing in a ton of coin. Riften just has a massive crime problem and all of it does hurt the citizens. So if Riften just cleaned up its streets, it could be up there with Solitude with some of the best cities in Skyrim. Financially speaking, of course, because Riften is fucking awesome. So far I've gone through about half the cities in Skyrim, and I didn't realize how much I would have to say about all of them, so I think I'm going to call it here. If you want to see me do the other half, just leave a comment and let me know. Anyway, it was super fun revisiting some of these cities and also checking out Morthal for like one of the first times ever. So yeah, I had a great time. If you liked the video, like it, I guess, and I frickin' dare you to subscribe to me. But yeah, that's it. Okay, bye!